Welcome to NarrativeNook Audiotales, where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
If I don't go home, the woman marrying Zachary would be my sister. I'd be seen as the one who wrecked my sister's happiness, and for that, God would deliberately punish my family who I care about. If that's the case, I don't want to be this rich girl anymore. I don't want to marry Zachary either. You're a Murphy, and going back to the Murphy family is your duty. Marrying me was because of our engagement. You haven't done anything wrong. As the night fell, Romeo's car was speeding through the traffic, heading towards Emerald Park. During this time, his phone kept buzzing. He glanced at the caller ID for the first time, then hit the button on the steering wheel, hanging up the call. But the person on the other end of the line didn't seem to give up, calling again and again. "Just let me get off at the front, please." Arabella thought her presence was making it difficult for Romeo to take the call, and was about to get out, but heard him explain, "It's a nuisance call." The nuisance calls kept buzzing. Finally, to keep Arabella comfortable in the car, Romeo had no choice but to put on his earphones and answer the call. "Romeo, you finally picked up my call." Serena on the other end of the line was sobbing hard. "I really didn't know that your grandpa would have such a big issue as soon as I left. It wasn't on purpose. I heard that heart revive in soup has a great effect on treating heart disease. So, I carefully made a pot of soup with heart revive and gave it to him. Thought it would help your grandpa, but I didn't expect it to worsen his condition. It's all because of that medicine seller who defrauded me. He sold me the medicine and I didn't check it. I was fooled. If I knew the medicine had issues, I definitely wouldn't have bought it, let alone let your grandpa have it. Romeo, you have to believe me. I consider you as family and your grandpa as my own grandpa. I would never harm him. Are you done?" Romeo didn't have the patience to listen to her sobbing. After she finished, he hung up the call. After taking off the earphone, Romeo continued to drive. Noticing from the corner of his eye that Arabella looked a bit awkward, he asked, "What's up?" That person seemed to be crying really hard. I could hear it. While Arabella didn't know why that person was crying, she felt that person seemed really pitiful. "That was the person who hurt my grandpa calling to plead," Romeo explained softly. "Okay." Arabella saw that they were near Emerald Park and said, "Please drop me off here. It's already dark. I'll drop you off at the garage." "No need." Arabella didn't want others to see her car. The license plate was too conspicuous. Next time she'd choose a more low-key car. "Are you sure you can manage alone?" Romeo saw that the park wasn't completely built yet, and there weren't many streetlights at night. Most places were pitch black. Even the road to the garage was very dark. She was a girl. Wouldn't she be scared? "I'm not scared." Arabella clearly didn't care about her surroundings. She'd been through way more hellish situations, too many times to count. She was getting ready to unbuckle her seatbelt. "I got it." Romeo moved closer. His aura was downright comforting. At this close distance, Arabella noticed his features were pretty damn attractive. Even his skin was ridiculously smooth. Romeo lifted his head, his deep eyes seriously looking at her. "Tell me when you get the time." "Sure." Romeo got out of the car first to open the door for her. After she got out, he slung her shoulder bag on her and handed her the stuff he'd bought earlier. "You can eat this if you get hungry tonight." Arabella was about to refuse, but looking into his eyes, she took the things anyway. However, the next second, her fingers accidentally brushed against Romeo's hand. The soft touch made her heart race. She felt something special. Seeing her take the stuff and turn to leave, Romeo couldn't help but call her softly, "Arabella." "What?" Arabella turned around to hear him say, "The girl just now isn't my girlfriend." Arabella was confused. She was asking for help. "I don't really know her well." "Arabella, okay? Be careful on the road." Romeo's voice was calm. "If you're scared, I can be on the phone with you." "No need." Watching the girl's figure gradually disappear from his sight, Romeo got back in the car. The image that kept popping up in his mind was her face, both obedient and cold. Arabella had just entered the underground parking lot when she felt her phone buzzing. It was Romeo. "Did you find your car?" Arabella found it a bit funny. "Just found it, haven't you left yet?" "I'm waiting to leave with you." "No need, I'm going through exit B." Arabella pressed the car's unlock button. Did you hear that? I'm about to drive. All right, be careful on the road. After hanging up, Romeo called Carl. Clear up your schedule tonight. I need to pay a visit to the Collins family. When Carl heard this, he immediately became excited. Mr. Macmillan, you are not going to settle scores with Miss Serena because of today's incident, are you? Miss Serena should have no malicious intentions. I'm not settling scores. So you finally understand Philip's good intentions? Want to invite Miss Serena to visit Philip in the hospital tomorrow? Philip would be delighted. Romeo's gaze fell into the distance, his voice low. I need to see Mr. Collins and Mrs. Collins. You finally decided you want to marry the Collins family's daughter? Just as Carl finished speaking, he could sense the displeasure on the other end. He was confused. So this is... What did that mean? Breaking off the engagement. Breaking off the engagement? Carl's face turned pale. Mr. Macmillan, you're not joking, are you? But Romeo's tone didn't sound like he was kidding at all. Carl swallowed nervously. Mr. Macmillan, your betrothal to Serena was arranged by the elders. If you cancel it tonight, it's like embarrassing the Collins family. It'll ruin the long-standing friendship between the Collins and the Macmillan families. That was the real kicker. Romeo was silent, just quietly watching the traffic outside the car window. Mr. Macmillan, I know you don't like Serena. To be honest, I don't like her either, and I find her contrived and hypocritical. Compared to her, I find Miss Arabella much more likable. But this isn't just about you and Serena, it's about the two big families, the Collins and the Macmillan. Thinking about Philip lying in his sickbed, Carl knew he would flip his lid if he found out. Mr. Macmillan, could you maybe reconsider? Carl made a last-ditch effort to persuade him. But Romeo just turned his gaze, saying nonchalantly, get the gifts ready, we're going tonight. Mr. Macmillan? Carl knew once Romeo made up his mind no one could stop him, but he still plucked up the courage to say, even if you don't care about the Collins family, regardless of your friendship with David Collins or Serena, at least think about the old man's feelings. Not only would he lose his great-grandson, relations between the Macmillan and Collins families would fall apart, and he would be called untrustworthy. How could the old man cope with such a blow? But Romeo didn't change his decision. Carl knew further words were futile, feeling helpless. Mr. Macmillan's engagement won't be decided by anyone. If the old man forced his hand, it would backfire. If anyone's to blame, it's Serena. Her behavior today didn't earn Mr. Macmillan's favor, it made him call off the engagement. Let's not tell my grandpa yet. I'll tell him myself when he's feeling better. Did Mr. Macmillan mean to break the news to Philip after everything was done? But news like calling off an engagement would spread fast. When Philip found out, he must be very angry. They could only hope the news would take its time to spread. Philip's heart couldn't take another shock. Kenneth and Louisa finally waited until Arabella came home. They eagerly sat her down at the dinner table, heaping food onto her plate. Serena, red-eyed from crying over Philip's situation, didn't dare show her face. She lied that she had already eaten and hid in her room. She was afraid of what her parents would think of her if they found out. After dinner, Arabella chatted with her parents a bit before heading upstairs to bathe. Kenneth and Louisa were chatting on the sofa, when suddenly, a servant came in with news. Sir, ma'am, Mr. Macmillan is here. The reporting servant was a bit panicked, as Romeo was a big name in high society. He was known to be cold-hearted and ruthless. He held sway over all darkness and light, and not just him, all servants would cower in his presence. Kenneth and Louisa exchanged wordless glances. Romeo? Why was he here? Could it be? Did he know Bella was back? It hit the fan. Quick, show him in. Kenneth was a bit flustered, exchanging a glance with Louisa. What were they going to do? Eric didn't dare delay and personally led him in. Soon, Romeo and his entourage entered the room. Dashing and sharp-eyed, his well-tailored suit fit his status. His presence was like a king ruling the world, radiating a powerful aura the moment he appeared. Following behind him, a couple of his underlings were clutching onto a bunch of pricey gifts, which they put down before heading out to wait by the door. Left alone now, Carl stood by Romeo, acting all respectful and stuff. Hello, long time no see. Romeo had a cold personality and didn't talk much. Even his greeting was steady and rigorous. "Romeo, what brings you here today?" Louisa was the first to react. Looking at the gifts he brought, she put on a warm smile. "It's great you came. Thank you for your gifts. Romeo, come take a seat. Someone, get him a cup of coffee," Kenneth called out in a friendly tone. "You haven't visited us since your bro left the country. Let's catch up tonight. Romeo, have you eaten yet?" "I have," Romeo replied, still as polite as ever. "It's been a while, but you seem even more mature and steady." Louisa looked at him, finding Romeo very likable. Tall, handsome, competent, he was basically flawless. On the second floor, Serena had planned to chat with her parents after Arabella had gone up to her room. That way, she could strengthen family ties and indirectly find out if they knew about Philip's situation. Just as she opened the door, she overheard two maids discussing about Romeo's appearance. After carefully asking them, she found out Romeo had come to her house. Her legs turned to jelly, and she was so frightened that she almost couldn't stand still. "Miss Serena?" Martha went up to help her in a hurry. "Are you all right, Martha?" Serena grabbed Martha's hand, her voice full of panic. "Romeo's here, in the living room. He must have come because of what happened today. If my parents find out about how I almost got his grandpa killed, what should I do?" "Don't freak out, let's see what he says first." "No, there's a difference between him spilling the beans and me coming clean." Serena quickly weighed her options and blurted out, "I'm going downstairs to apologize to him." "Miss Serena, don't do anything rash." Martha tried to hold her back. "Keep your cool, let's see what's happening downstairs first, you listen to me." Kenneth and Louisa exchanged a glance. "Miss Collins. Could they be referring to Bella?" Romeo was well informed. Could he already know that the Collins' real daughter was someone else? And Serena was just an adopted daughter. It seemed like he had something to say. Louisa spoke first. "Romeo, this whole thing happened out of the blue. We didn't get a chance to tell you. This story dates back quite a while." Romeo thought she was referring to the previous engagement. He nodded, patiently waiting for her to continue. Louisa recounted in detail about the hospital fire, then said, "We only recently found Arabella, and haven't yet announced her identity to the public. Arabella's grandparents still don't know about this. We didn't mean to keep you or the Macmillan family in the dark." Romeo was shocked. Carl was shocked too. Louisa knew that at this stage, it was impossible to keep things a secret, so she said, "Edith, go ask Arabella down." Carl looked at Mrs. Collins, then at Romeo. "What's going on? Romeo's fiancée isn't Miss Serena, but Miss Arabella? Then this wedding should be called off even more. Romeo wouldn't even accept the highly accomplished Miss Serena he knows, let alone some girl he doesn't know from a small village. Miss Serena is top-notch in both talent and looks, and has been praised by the big shots in the capital. But Miss Arabella..." Romeo's gaze deepened, as if he was thinking about something. Having just finished her shower, Arabella came downstairs when she heard her mom calling for her, without giving it a second thought. She entered the room dressed in a thin nightgown, her hair bunched up in a ball, instantly catching everyone's attention. Carl's jaw dropped when he saw that the woman was none other than Miss Arabella. Was she the biological daughter the Collins family had just found? Romeo's eyes lifted slightly, a hint of curiosity in his gaze. Was it her? Was she the real daughter of the Collins family? Arabella had just come downstairs when she spotted Romeo on the sofa. His handsome face, eyes gleaming slightly, and a hint of a smile on his lips. How did this man end up in her house? Arabella's eyes showed her confusion. "Mom, did you call for me?" "Come, Bella, sit with me." Louisa gently guided her daughter to sit down, saying, "Let me introduce, this is Romeo. Years ago, our family, the Collins, and the Macmillan made a marriage pact. So technically, Romeo is your fiancé." Arabella was totally confused and shocked. "What? Fiancé? What era is this? There's still such thing as a marriage pact?" "This is our biological daughter we just found, Arabella Collins," Louisa introduced to Romeo. Romeo's gaze softened slightly. So it was her. He didn't expect she was from the Collins family. Carl also suddenly realized So Miss Arabella is from the Collins family. No wonder she dared to help save people in the hospital, and dared to kick Susanna on her knees. Turned out she had a powerful background. Serena was eavesdropping from the second floor, initially thinking Romeo came to see her because of his grandpa's matter. She didn't expect he was here for Arabella. Her nails dug deep into her palm, a bit angry. Why did this Arabella have to show up? Why did Arabella have to come back to this family? Why did she have to snatch everything that belonged to her? So Mr. Macmillan is here today too? Arabella looked at the man in front of her, not understanding his purpose. Romeo looked at the girl's bright and clear eyes, smiling. I heard that my fiancée just returned to her family, so I brought a little gift to visit. Carl's eyes widened in disbelief, looking at Romeo. Mr. Macmillan, weren't you here to break off the engagement? How did it turn into a visit? Was it because the person of the marriage pact was Miss Arabella, so you changed your mind? You changed your mind too fast. Although the outside world rumored Romeo to be cold-blooded, cruel and brutal, Louisa was very pleased with his character after getting to know him over the years. She knew this man was down-to-earth, capable, and responsible. Regardless of anything else, just looking at his looks, wealth and ability, he was the best of the best, unmatched by anyone else. If Bella could marry him, her later life would definitely be happy and worry-free. My grandpa wants to see you. Romeo looked at Arabella, his magnetic voice gentle yet bewitching. When are you free so we can go see him together? If you're uneasy going as my fiancé, you can just show some care on behalf of the Collins family. Romeo added. What a great idea. Kenneth hadn't expected Romeo to be so smart. Yeah, you show some affection on behalf of the Collins family, Louisa echoed. Arabella thought, so no one was asking for my opinion? Bella, you should visit Philip tomorrow then. You've been home for 2 days, it's about time. After all, they were the ones who proposed the marriage, and Romeo is quite the catch. That old man was still in the hospital, and it was said that his condition isn't looking good. As a younger generation, she should pay a visit, showing some affection. Yeah, that's right, go pay a visit, Kenneth said with a grin. Bring some gifts. No need for gifts, just your presence is enough. Romeo's voice was clear. No, it's our first meeting. We can't skip the courtesy. Kenneth insisted. Leave it to me then, Romeo gently looked at Arabella. We'll arrange the specific time later. Seeing the hopeful looks from her parents, Arabella finally agreed. All right. She'll just check on Philip's recovery. After all, she did accept his blank check a few days ago. Romeo casually said a few words before saying, I won't bother you guys anymore. Are you leaving so soon? Romeo, you've brought so many gifts, this is... Before Louisa could finish her sentence, Romeo said, just a small token, please don't take it to heart. Bella, see Romeo out. Arabella was speechless. Why did she have to see him out? No need, Miss Collins, please stay. Seeing the faint smile on Romeo's lips, Arabella raised an eyebrow. Was he annoyed that she only told him her first name and not her family name? Actually, she had only taken on this family name for 2 days, and she was still getting used to it. Get some rest, my fiancé. Fiancé? When did she agree to that? Kenneth and Louisa were over the moon when they heard him. It seems that Romeo is quite satisfied with Bella. This development is beyond their expectations. Upstairs, Serena couldn't hold back anymore and ran downstairs. In a place where no one could see her, she dashed towards the garden path. Romeo. Seeing Serena rushing over, Carl immediately blocked her way. Miss Serena, what's wrong? Looking at Romeo's retreating figure, Serena was in great agony. Romeo, it was indeed my fault that your grandpa's condition worsened. I feel really guilty. Thank you for not embarrassing me in front of my parents just now. Carl was speechless. Mr. Macmillan just didn't take you seriously. It's not like he was deliberately not embarrassing this Miss Serena. I heard that your grandpa's condition is not good. I want to go see him. When you pick up my sister tomorrow, can you take me with you? No need. There was a hint of coldness in Romeo's eyes. Grandpa wants to see my fiancé. He doesn't want to see you. Serena didn't expect him to reject her so directly. Her heart ached, but she clung on to a faint hope. I don't have to go as your fiancé. I could go as a representative of the Collins family. Romeo, can I please apologize to Grandpa? She looked at Romeo hopefully, wishing he'd say yes. But Romeo was icy, his gaze cold. Only my fiancé can represent the Collins family. His gaze was cold, his voice firm. Romeo, Carl? Serena couldn't believe this manservant dared stop her. Before Arabella returned, this guy had been nothing but respectful to her. We don't want to cause a scene, Carl said, before turning to catch up with Romeo. Watching Romeo's retreating figure, Serena shouted, Romeo, believe it or not, I didn't mean to hurt Grandpa. I really didn't. Carl thought, did Miss Serena think Romeo's coldness was because of what happened to Philip? It's clear to everyone, Romeo didn't care about her. But Miss Arabella? Romeo seemed different with her. In the living room, Louisa looked at a pile of gifts. Arabella, these are gifts from Romeo. You guys handle it. Arabella went upstairs. She hadn't expected to gain a fiancé in the process of meeting her family. Things were more complicated than she'd thought. Romeo. In the garden, Serena watched Romeo walk away and started to quietly sob. Martha comforted her. Miss Serena, he's already gone. Martha, what should I do? Serena cried. Romeo treats Arabella differently. The game's just begun. No one knows who will come out on top. Martha patted her back, trying to be rational. Arabella may be pretty, but she grew up poor. She might not be able to keep Romeo's interest. Serena's tears welled up, suddenly feeling there might be some truth to Martha's words. I think in a few days, Romeo will realize you're the one who's best suited to be his fiancé. After all, Serena had been learning all sorts of skills since she was a kid. She's a typical lady, while Arabella was just a village girl. The Macmillan family was top tier. They only mingled with people of culture. They wouldn't choose someone with only surface beauty. Comforted by Martha, Serena felt a bit better. Arabella had just returned to her room when her phone started buzzing. It was a familiar number. The person had already called her once today. She picked up, hearing the familiar deep voice from the other end. Arabella. Romeo's voice was deep and magnetic. I'm home. Arabella asked automatically, what's up? This question amused Romeo. Did she not realize he was reporting his whereabouts to her? Romeo chuckled lightly. You still haven't accepted my friend request. Hearing him say this, Arabella suddenly remembered that it was indeed the case. I'll accept it later. She had been so busy today, so she had forgotten about it. Romeo's voice was soft, like the plucking of guitar strings. What time should I pick you up tomorrow? 2 in the afternoon. After all, she had other things to handle. Location. Right outside my house. Got it, I'll be there on time. Just as Arabella was about to hang up, Romeo asked, don't you like chocolate-flavored cake? Arabella thought, what? I noticed you didn't eat a single bite in the car. Arabella didn't expect this man to pay such close attention to her preferences, said, I don't like chocolate very much. Romeo got it. Then I'll get you other flavors in the future. Arabella was speechless. You saved my grandpa, it's only right that I get you some snacks. Arabella said nothing. I won't disturb your rest anymore. Romeo kindly said, see you tomorrow, my bride-to-be. Arabella kept silent. Good night. Romeo thought that Arabella would also say good night, but she simply responded and ended the call. What a unique girl. Just as Arabella was about to rest after hanging up, her phone vibrated again. I don't care, I need the design draft now. I need to get the factory to work overtime. Such a big order, I must get it. Arabella raised an eyebrow, replied, who's the big shot this time? Was it her dad again? This time it's a big deal, even bigger than your dad. You could say it's. Stop the chit-chat. Arabella had no mood for his rambling. She realized she was out of stock and remembered today's auction. Because of the bidding by bidder number 1, those 6 Hearties herbs cost her quite a bit. It's time to make some money. Arabella, I'll start designing now. Brilliant, boss. Finally getting to work. I'll notify the factory, get them ready. Arabella has a few factories dedicated to producing her clothing and accessories designs. Even she probably didn't expect that when she looked up from her work, it was already morning. Rubbing her sore wrist, she sent the final design draft. The clock was already pointing at 7:30. "Boss, if you work this hard every day, you'll be the richest person in the world. You'll be richer than Romeo then." Arabella raised an eyebrow. "Romeo? The richest man on earth? You can't possibly not know that Romeo is the richest guy in the world, right? He's been #1 for 3 years straight. I heard he's handsome but has a bit of a temper, can be a little scary sometimes." Arabella decided to ignore him and stop listening to his nonsense. She went downstairs to grab breakfast, planning to go back to bed after eating. "Are you there? Boss. System notification. Your message has been blocked by the recipient." "Why did you block me again?" Serena was up early today, chatting and laughing over breakfast with Martha and Holly. When Arabella walked in, they quickly exchanged glances and stifled their laughter. "Miss Arabella, your breakfast will be ready soon." The chef noticed Arabella's arrival and started plating the prepared meals with meticulous attention to detail. Meanwhile, Martha and Holly acted as if Arabella didn't exist, not even bothering with a simple greeting. "Bella, why are you up so early?" Serena was the first to speak. She wore a graceful smile. "If you're used to sleeping in, there's no need to change that just because you're here." Arabella ignored her. Her eyes were drawn to the well-prepared breakfast that looked tantalizingly delicious. "Miss Arabella, I'm Daniel. I prepared your breakfast today. We've got Canadian geoduck congee, milkfish maw, Mexican pancakes, avocado toast, Doric cheese sandwiches, lobster bisque, and handmade coffee and milk. I wasn't sure about your preferences, so I prepared a bit of everything. Enjoy. If there's anything you'd like me to improve, feel free to let me know." "Thank you." Arabella wasn't fussy about food. She just wanted to finish quickly and get back to sleep. However, Serena and Martha exchanged glances before blurting out, "Bella, I heard you're planning to visit Romeo, can I tag along?" Arabella didn't stop eating her cheese sandwich and sipped on her milk. "I'm on vacation right now, so I have time. I'm usually too busy to spend time with you." Seeing Arabella's lack of response, Serena continued, "You're probably not used to such grandeur, you might be nervous. I know Romeo's personality and temper very well. If you happen to say or do something wrong, having me around can help ease the tension. Although Romeo isn't particularly fond of me, Philip's always happy to see me. I think he'll be friendly towards you too. Of course, our dear Miss Serena is old Mr. Philip's favorite." Holly looked at Arabella haughtily. "With Miss Serena around, even if you mess up, Mr. Philip will let it slide because of her." Martha, thinking her plan was working, whispered to Serena, "I'll go prepare the outfit you'll wear today. I'm riding in Romeo's car. If you want a ride, go ask him," Arabella suddenly said, "telling me won't help." "Bella, you don't agree?" "That's right." Serena looked awkward, surprised by Arabella's direct rejection. After seeing Arabella finish her breakfast leisurely and leave, Holly was a bit upset. She's only known Romeo for a few days? And she's already using his name to threaten you? She's so full of herself. Does she really think she's Romeo's girlfriend? Serena clenched her teeth. Romeo didn't want to bring her last night, and now Arabella didn't agree. This country bumpkin was just afraid of her stealing the spotlight, wasn't she? Ms. Serena, don't worry. Let her mess up and make Philip unhappy. Then you can visit Philip. When he compares the two of you, he'll realize you're the ideal daughter-in-law. Serena twigged it right away. If there was no comparison, no one would know how bad Arabella was and how great she was. Martha was right. Let this country bumpkin have a taste of reality. She needed to know that Philip was always the leader, and would never respect such narrow-minded people. "Don't bother me for lunch." Arabella ordered the servant who was working on her way upstairs, locked herself in her room, and hit the hay. She was really tired because she stayed up all night writing, and fell asleep as soon as she lay down on her pillow. When Kenneth and Louisa woke up and heard their darling daughter was skipping lunch, they immediately summoned the chef. Did breakfast not sit well with Bella? Daniel felt wronged. Ms. Bennet left because of what Serena said, not because of the breakfast. Serena. Kenneth and Louisa were taken aback, then hastily asked, "What did Serena say?" Serena didn't really say anything, just wanted Ms. Bennet to take her to see Philip, but Ms. Bennet didn't agree. Kenneth and Louisa exchanged glances and immediately said, "Go fetch Serena." When Serena was summoned, she didn't expect Arabella would tattle to her parents over such a small matter. She was already a grown woman but acted like a child refusing to eat. Serena was instantly ticked off. But she tried to put on a pitiful face on the outside, pretending to be wronged. "Mom, Dad, I didn't say anything excessive to my sister. Just asked her if she could take me with her. Philip missed me and has been texting me to visit him. I couldn't go because of exams." Serena saw their dubious faces and immediately took out her phone to show the chat history. "I also had free time only today, so I thought we could go together." Louisa didn't expect the truth to be this. It seemed they read too much into it. How could Serena compete with Bella for her fiancé? They made a mistake. Arabella had no idea what happened in the morning. When she woke up, the clock was already pointing to 1 in the afternoon. She simply washed and changed her clothes, and as soon as she opened the door, she heard a noise downstairs. "Romeo, you brought so many gifts for Bella last night, and today you brought us these gifts. Thank you so much, but no need for those gifts next time. We're all family, no need for gifts. You even prepared gifts for Bella to meet your grandfather. We can't possibly accept this. We've had the gifts prepared, and we can't cost you money this time." Arabella was puzzled when she heard this. Romeo was here? Didn't they agree to meet at the front door? How did he get in? "No worries, Bella is my fiancé, I should prepare her meeting gifts." Romeo just finished speaking when he noticed Arabella descending the stairs. Her long and thin legs, dressed in casual clothes, probably didn't get enough sleep, her beautiful eyes showing a hint of impatience. She was kind of cute like this. "Bella, are you awake? You must be hungry at this time, right?" Kenneth and Louisa hurriedly asked. "Have something to eat before you go, the food is ready." "I'm not hungry." Arabella just wanted to rush to the hospital to complete the necessary procedures, then come back to deal with work. Tomorrow was Monday, she had to go to the company her father gave her. She didn't have much time for personal matters. But Louisa was worried she might be hungry. "The food in the kitchen is ready. You can try to eat a bit, since Romeo's here, you can eat together." "Right, Romeo usually eats at the company, maybe he didn't get enough, you two can eat together." In this way, the two of them had something to eat before they left. On the other side, Philip was constantly checking himself in the mirror. "Brody, see if my hair is messy, if my clothes are neat."
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.